all off the board. Obviously, Jarvan rises in popularity quite a bit. Gnar going to be the lock-in here for Burdol. He's had an up-and-down series. We highlighted him. He is the returning piece, the prodigal son, coming back to LGD, who did not play at the beginning of this year. If this team wants to improve, they're looking towards the top side to do that. They've given him, at the very least, a champion that can cause some havoc in the game.
Ooh, LGD. By going for the Corki first, you automatically think to yourself, it's probably going to be Corki, Nami, and OMG are ready to fight on back with a Lucian Melio pairing.
This is it. I mean, you want to talk about throwing down the gauntlet. Shaoye and YCX, Shaoye in particular, is known for, I win my 2v2, I win the game, I lose my 2v2. Uh-oh, things can go quite wrong quite fast. We did see, obviously, not the best 2v2 earlier, and he was able to recover. That could be a bit of a problem here. I still think Corki Nami are so much stronger just from a pure stats perspective than Lucian Melio, but Lucian's actually had a bit of a resurgence, despite the fact that I think a lot of people consider that champion to be a bit weak right now.
Yeah, I think he got some recent buffs on this most recent patch.
Yeah.
Not necessarily one that screams, oh, Lucian is now back at the top of S tier 80 carry pool, but when all these other marksmen are gone, it's definitely a nice option to fill out. Now, I want to point out that OMG already have incredibly strong primary engage just from Cataclysm alone. Unfortunately, Corki can always escape it with Valkyrie, so OMG might need to look for some extra dive buddies or things that can follow up on this Cataclysm engage. For LGD, they should get some engage, because if you just rely only on Gnar to be in mega form, you're going to find yourselves in some tricky scenarios when he's in mini form.
What I wonder here is if they just go full scaling in the middle. Something Heng really played a lot of in the winter split was Dr. Mundo. And I think that could theoretically be on the table here. If you want that engage, Wukong's still on the table. Really the only major engaged champion that's left. Outside of that, with the Poppy ban, you're really looking at Qiyana as like the only other jungle champion that's in meta. Malphite, maybe you could pull out here, but would certainly be a bit of a rocky fit going into something like Lucian Melio. The Wukong banned out. Those engagers are gone. It might have to be something like a Mundo that ends up scaling well, and that does limit your options more in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, because then Mundo doesn't really bring engaged. Yeah, he can face check for you. He can tank HP for you. Oh, Skarner.
Oh, yeah.
That does help things a bit if they go for the Scorpion of Ishtal instead. But LGD are contemplating what would be more beneficial to them. And I guess in the end, they're going to prioritize just having a big, giant meatball that can just tank up as much damage as possible from OMG.
Yeah, we saw this coming. I mean, this is what Heng likes to do. When he found success, it was because he was able to stall these games out. LGD, 3 games in a row this series have gone for scaling. Azir was probably going to be the pick that they associated with it. We'll see if they want to pick something like Annie to pair better with the Lucian to set up, or if they just want to say, hey, you've got Dr. Mundo, we don't care. We're going to win lane, and we're going to push into the late game. Again, the gauntlet's been thrown. Weak side top also makes a lot of sense here. Gnar's going to have lane priority. OMG drafting something incredibly standard. It wouldn't be out of place in 2016, let alone, 2026. So we'll see. As I say that, some more crazy hovers here as a potential counter pick on the top side. If you really want to throw down the gauntlet, I would be shocked. And it is the tank side.
I was about to say, I wonder if Hery was taking a look through Flandra's solo queue account, because I know a lot of people were talking about Flandra potentially bringing out a Vayne top in their previous series, especially from some fan signs, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Hery just doubling down, creating an even bigger front line and more ways to start off a fight. I think that's the right call, especially when you already see a Mundo. You want to make sure that you have yourself a tank to play behind as well. Kali is the final lock-in. That is a Tangyuan classic. He's going to try and rely on some assassination power to essentially remove this Lucian from the fight. That being said, I'm looking at both of these compositions, and one of the things that was very, very significant in how LGD and OMG stabilized their mid game and got their snowball rolling was how well you can play that bottom river fight in the mid game. And when looking on both of these compositions, I'm always going to try and favor one where you have a Jarvan on your team versus something like a Mundo.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I really do think I'm looking at OMG's comp, and I see them having more tools. I see them having more options, and I see them having more ways to play the game. Lucian Milio has been a criticized bot lane. Lucian's always been really good into Corki. Corki's early trading power kind of gets neutralized a bit by Lucian because the range isn't that much of a problem for him, especially with the Milio. If this Azir gets out of control, you have tanks set up. You have Jarvan and Sion in the late game. You have ways to enable your carries. Things are going to have to stall out a lot for LGD in this game, and they can do that, but Sakali's not going to have a fun time early. This Corki's probably not going to have a fun time early. I think they're going to need to have another game like game number 2 where things just aren't going terribly wrong so they can survive.
We stated before how important it is to start off the single round robin season with a bang. And OMG LGD now fighting for an exciting conclusion here in Game 3 as we take to Summoner's Rift.
Man, I was really hoping for some Gyos in Game 3. I mean, I'm hyped. Raafaa, I don't know about you. I am hyped right now. I am feeling the energy. This game matters so much for both of these teams. It's crazy how much their season can change, their year can change depending on the outcome. And we've certainly got some fun drafts to see it, to the end in a sense.
Yeah, when we just take a look back at what our expected power rankings for both of these teams, while we weren't necessarily fully agreed on where OMG was in the top half of the group, they were still in top 3, whereas LGD we both put in the bottom half of this group Nirvana. If LGD walks away with a win against OMG, that means that OMG is now looking at having to find wins against way tougher opponents that we expected, and LGD can at least be content that, hey, we've already gotten a win against one of the more difficult opponents, and we can try and now focus our wins on the teams that we should be favored against, like Thundertalk and Ultra Prime.
Well, that's the thing, Raafaa. It's not just, we get to play and make sure that, we're in a good spot. These two teams specifically had it out for each other in the first split. The difference between OMG being 1 series away from Group Ascent even just a month ago was LGD and the fact that they were able to 2-0 them in the regular season. It's insane how important games like this can be. OMG definitely have expectations coming off of that run, but LGD made changes. They feel like they should be a team around that area. They've been to Group Ascend before with Burdol, bringing him back, and they're hopeful to get into that zone with some scaling here in Game 3, and at least at the start here, not nearly as much action as we've seen through the first 2 games.
And both junglers finding themselves pathing to the bottom side of the map just to protect both of their AD carry and supports from getting too chunked out here. Starry and Moham starting to win out on the push just a little bit, while Nami definitely does bring an overall sustained advantage ever since she got the nerfs. Looks like OMG might have been able to at least crack the code in just allowing Moham to give overall effective more pressure to this Lucian. And because of the bot lane priority, Heng is not going to be able to contest Rio on this bottom crab. We'll just walk over to the top side. And now Rio does have an angle to at least either get some vision control on one of these respawning camps. Don't think he can necessarily dive the bottom lane just yet, though.
Yeah, it's not too bad of a spot overall for Heng or for Rio, really. Rio's going to have full control. Heng has been really aggressive in terms of how he's pathed in the early game, especially before level 6 in both games so far. Not really going to have the opportunity to do that on Dr. Mundo. A lot of people call that champion broken and overpowered, but he is very exploitable in the early game. If you let him scale for free, it's going to be a bit of a problem, but we'll see if the gas pedal is there for OMG to be able to kick it up a notch and really take the fight to him.
We'll see if LGD can stall this early game and not allow it to be blown completely open so that Heng can become that giant wall of health. And LGD can safely fire damage from behind. OMG, so far with decent priority in this bottom lane. Definitely getting pushed in both mid and top. Heng trying to contest Rio on these Raptors right now. Looks like Rio was able to snag some of the Raptors back. Heng should be okay, though. Not enough damage coming out to stop this Mundo from being able to go where he pleases.
And you almost never see a Mundo make plays like that, but Hery could be in some danger here.
Might be forced to flash this. Burdol's just gonna preemptively flash, takes a turret shot, but he does force Hery off the wave for now. Rio trying to at least get his Raptor camp back. And because Moham was able to move first, mission complete.
Yeah, I really like that from Rio. He understands that this is the part of the game where not only is his support able to move first up to that objective, but he himself has the smite and is able to make a lot of plays happen on the map. You can't really overextend versus a Jarvan. This Akali ends up putting herself into a bad spot with her mobility. It can be really bad really fast before level 6, but that is exactly what we are hitting in the mid lane. Not quite as consequential as some of the macro ultimates we've seen in the mid lane so far, but certainly still two champions that can get themselves involved. And now we actually see the push going over to the side of LGD onto the bot side. That could open up a pathway for Rio, who is once again looking very aggressive here.
Has smite available, and Rio claims the big Krug, so nice bit of XP. However, Rio just doesn't really have bot lane priority quite yet, but thankfully for him, doesn't even have to burn the flash, shrugs off the damage from Shaoye. Nah, it was a nice chunk. And now he might be contested on his Grump. Maybe Heng can just walk up. He's got Tangyuan rotating on first, so Rio has to play a little careful for now and might just be forced to recall instead.
Yeah, this is the problem right now for Dr. Mundo, is that if he overextends, he can be killed. The bot lane's going to be strong enough to burst him down at this point. Mid laner certainly not going to be in a spot where he's, able to follow up as consistently, so Dragon will be the take instead of the Gromp. Certainly not a bad trade here for LGD. They've done a very good job of utilizing these objectives throughout this series, and their comp scales incredibly well, forcing these fights around River the later the game goes.
Just a good call from Heng overall. Instead of going for the greedy approach on that... Oh no, Moham. Is he in trouble? Dips back into Fog, thanks to that Tri-Bush being warded in favor of OMG. And Rio just preemptively walks bot just to make sure that no funny business happens, but Heng secures the first dragon of the game, gives LGD a nice win condition that they can work towards.
Now, we're looking at that bot side right now because Starry is up quite a bit in this matchup. As we expected, Lucian's very good into Corki because of that range matchup, and we talked about it very, very clearly. Starry was the guy for this team in the play-in stage, and we are now getting to a point where Starry's going to be in a spot where he has to carry in the mid game. We'll see if he can do that here.
Apologies, y'all. We'll be getting back into the game as soon as possible. Just experiencing some, maybe some network issues here. So as we take a moment to step back from game and kind of scale outwards. Right now, LGD have avoided any early blowouts and deficits. Obviously, Lucian up in CS might be something that they have to look at sooner than later, but it's nothing to be completely losing their minds about right now.
You're not terrified of Lucian taking over the game, but you're like a little worried, right? You get to a spot, especially because Starry is such a talented player. Again, a 500 gold lead down there on the bot side that's even grown now as we get back into game. It's not the end of the world if this Lucian gets into a spot. You can deal with him, especially the later this game goes, but before your first item power spike on Mundo, you're trying to fight around these river objectives. Grubs are on the map. Dragon's going to be spawning in 3 minutes. This is the part of the game where Starry can have the biggest impact, and I'm curious to see how they're going to utilize that and whether or not the Jarvan's going to be able to set up for some of those plays that they might be looking for.
Yeah. Not many targets that he can effectively lock down with this Cataclysm outside of Nami and Mundo once they don't have Flash on their side. But at least he can always get things started and burn some initial movement abilities. But Heng, so far, 100% on objective secure ratio. But Rio is playing for the Lucian win condition already here on the bot side. So Shaoye and YCX have to pay respect. Culling comes out, decent chunk onto Xiaoye's health bar. And will allow them to continue wailing on this turret. Maybe an additional play too.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job enabling this Lucian. Is Rio still in the area? They could look for something if this bot lane overextends with Akali going back mid lane, but there's not really a lot to find. I do have a bit of a concern here. If you're going to vertically split this map, this Lucian's going to have to be trusted to carry this entire game. I don't love the scaling here for OMG. I would have thought it more proactive for them to contest those grubs. Instead, they're going to trust in their star, pun intended, AD carry here and try to get him into the best position as possible.
The sophomore really needs to be given the keys to the kingdom if he wants to excel on this Lucian. One of the problems of this champion overall does fall into the range category as the game gets further and further. And yeah, you have a lot of mobility on this champion, but if you're not able to burn down the targets in front of you, it's not going to be easy for him to navigate and effectively wipe these fights as much as he would like to.
I mean, it's also a problem of comp, right? Like, you're looking at LGD, you're staring down a Dr. Mundo, you're staring down a Gnar, even like a Nami in terms of the healing. It is going to be a little tougher for Lucian to be able to play this late game. I don't really like OMG playing passive or scared. I think this is a game they, again, needed to put their foot on the gas for, and right now it just doesn't feel like they're playing aggressive enough. It's Heng making plays.
Heng is going to dive the turret, and he can tank this up as long as possible. Flash comes out of Starry, and Moham, tidal wave sets it up. Shaoye gets first blood, critical for the Corki matchup, and Starry is doing everything he can to survive, but ends up giving a double over to Shaoye next. Haichao lunges forward, was trying to see if he could bait out another mobility spell, but just does not want to commit for the Flash Ember's divide there.
It's a nightmare play for OMG. Their passiveness ends up coming back to bite them as they're dove under tower in their strongest lane. It's worst case scenario. Starry's lead is gone, and you spent Grubs and Dragon getting him that lead. Your early game plan is not there anymore. I'm not even quite sure you win the exchanges, and Dr. Mundo has now completed the Heartsteel. This really could not have gone worse for an OMG team that just feels like they're asleep behind the wheel.
And now Corki has found himself starting to edge out Starry in gold and overall an advantage. Haichao rushed the Liandry's Torment, so at least he can try and deal with this Mundo sooner than later. I'm not sure how much of a deficit it's going to do to his overall power, since there are other items like the Gnasher's Tooth that he probably would have provided, but hopefully this gives OMG the tools they need. Rio tries to send it onto the Mundo, but I mean, he just kind of front-loaded all that damage. Now Rio might be in trouble. Starry tries to buy some space with the culling so that the bot lane cannot follow up on Heng, challenging Rio in the river, not having to use the flash or the cataclysm to escape, but still, already, you called it before, Kman, this Mundo is starting to come online.
Look at the items, Raafaa. Rio, he's not done. There's no item in the inventory for Rio. Heng has a completed Heartsteel, and while it's not stacked, it's certainly more than what this Jarvan has. And if you're not winning now, when do you start winning? You're down 200 gold. You don't have pressure on the map. This continues to get worse and worse. Dragons are stacking. There's going to be a Chem Soul this game as well, which could be very dangerous for OMG. I think now is a huge breakpoint in this series for this team. Can they pull the trigger and make a play, or are they once again going to be targeted on the bottom side?
We've seen so many games in this series be decided on a single bot river fight. Are OMG willing to flip it all in this moment in time? This is probably their strongest point that they can try and look for it. Heng already popping the ultimate. They're going to wait it out. Rio goes for Shaoye, but misses the flag and drag. Flashes out, goes back in with the cataclysm, but no one can follow up from OMG. Heng is singling out Haichao, and the rest of the bot lane can't get in. Shaoye goes in, aggressive. Wait a minute, barrier still popped. Starry cannot finish it off, and Shaoye still walks away alive.
I mean, LGD have taken full control of this game. What a fantastic fight from them. It's completely disconnected from OMG. Rio can't find the right engage at the right time with the initial flag and drag, and the ultimate comes out too late. Shaoye gets to stay alive for the entire fight here on the Corki, and you're even at a point in time where he's valking forward into the Lucian after the way this early game went. LGD just looks so good and comfortable here in the mid game. Their scaling is very much paying off, and their team's only going to get more dangerous.
And this is a fight where Shaoye didn't even have a Trinity Force completed. There was a Kraken Slayer in the inventory of Lucian, and he was losing the 1v1 to Corki.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get worse than that, Raafaa. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign. Triforce completed now. This Corki's in a really great spot. 3 kills now for Shaoye. We saw what he did previously on the Aphelios. We know he has the capability. This is LGD's long-standing player. You know, I'm sure he takes a little bit of personal responsibility for not getting this team into play-ins, being, you know, a big leader for them and all. And obviously, he's making up for it. And then some in this series. Hery getting chunked out. I think he'll be just fine. He'll have to burn the ultimate, but classic Sion behavior.
So, here's my thought. If LGD just continue playing out these lane states where mid is our 2v2 and the side lanes are the solo laners, and there's no intervention from OMG, then they're just going to continue bleeding out gold. And it's it's pretty much a one game from LGD, because you talked about the scaling advantage being so good.
Yeah.
Do we just see OMG just try to drop some of these solo lanes and just overload into the mid? What do we think?
I mean, at some point, you have to force a fight, right? You have to get gold onto priority targets. It's now or never for Haichao in particular. Rio's got to find those engages, but if you can get Azir online, you eventually have someone that can skirmish throughout a lot of the mid game. You have to have someone that can break through this Dr. Mundo, or at least make him a little bit more nervous to just run through your entire team. I think Haichao is really the only piece that's going to be able to do that at a consistent level. Rift Herald's certainly not going to help with that, but Rio's going to need some backup here.
Starry jumps forward, Shaoye hugging the wall. Oh no. Oh, this is a terrible time. No. Will you please? Not right this.
We're begging
I have no
you.
idea. It's a slideshow. It's frozen in time. What could happen?
The suspense! It's building! It's...
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
No! My cliffhanger!
Someone cue the JoJo's Bizarre Circus meme. To be continued. Someone needs to get roundabout on the stereo system right now. Oh, man.
My heart's beating, Raafaa. It's pounding out of my chest. I'm terrified right now. This could be the game-deciding fight. Starry looked like he was able to trade relatively well with the Corki at the start of that, but again, if you can't get through that Dr. Mundo, you can't get through him. You have to break him down now, and you have to break him down fast in these fights.
Shaoye looked pretty pinned on the thickest side of the wall there, so he might be forced to flash, depending on what OMG do on that frame. Hopefully we'll find out sooner than later.
I mean, there's a chance this isn't even a fight. Like, there's a chance that all of this got disengaged, that a flash came out from Corki, and they're like, oh, well, we got what we got, and Mundo gets Rift Herald, and we're right back in the game.
Very true. Oh, my God.
I know. Well, we can theorize, and we can talk generally just about how, again, like, I know we're stressing this, but I have to stress this, and the reason I'm sweating and so nervous is because this is really important for both of these teams. It is win or go home in a lot of instances for these players who are trying to make a name for themselves down in Group Nirvana, trying to make their way to Group Ascend, and these are the kinds of moments that get you that tape.
And the reason why the stakes feel like that, even if it is only the very first series for both of these teams, is because simply this is a single round robin with 6 teams total. So that means that if you lose this, you only have 4 other series to try and look for the
Rio
EQ flash on a Shaoye, but the Cataclysm is not enough to lock down Shaoye for OMG to follow up on the play. Rest of OMG are forced to scatter and flee at the sight of this Mundo, just barreling towards them.
The desperation coming out from Rio to get anything on the map, burning every resource just to find himself in the grave as Dragon has spawned. This is going to be Soul Point, as you pointed out, but OMG can't give this over.
And Shaoye didn't even have to burn flash on that play either, so he is still relatively very safe. The only other engaged tools you have are Emperor's Divide and this Scion just charging forward. Tangyuan is now setting himself into a flank position so he can threaten the backline. Dragon secured. The rest of OMG are just forced to flee.
I mean, this is an early game team that's forced to flee from Soul Point. LGD are scaling and stacking. This is a great spot, and let's talk about LGD. I mean, this was a team that really could not get it done in big moments throughout a lot of split number 1. They're kind of an org that's been known for maybe overperforming a little bit, getting 11th or 12th, but not really being able to cross that barrier and become elite. You know, Burdol's been very good throughout this game, but it feels like everyone is stepping up. So we see this engage once more. Rio's just on the backside. He's able to, dodge out from a lot of the damage here, but again, so many resources burned just to get onto Shaoye. The flash, the flag and drag, the ultimate put down. There's no damage, and there's certainly no survivability from the Jarvan. And if you're not able to go in and make that play, it's so hard to find angles onto the backline if you're OMG.
Yeah. When they're super far behind too, none of your backliners want to go forward on that play either, because it is just so far, it is so deep, and it's unrewarding.
Oh, Starry.
Nearly chunks out Shaoye. Comes at the cost of a couple ultimates there, whereas YCX still has Tidal Wave to play with, and OMG are definitely fishing for anything at this point. You can see some of the frustration coming across Starry's face in that last attempt, just trying anything to see if it can break through these defenses.
I mean, you're at the point where, I mean, Mundo is huge. This is a very scary level 11 Heng. Wherever he is on the map, he's going to be a menace. It's going to be almost impossible to break through against him. Again, this is Zir was your win condition. I still think that there is an avenue for Haichao to at least get some damage down in these fights. Baron has spawned. That is the only objective up on the map right now. Vision is going to be the primary goal. Moham going to try to make his way through, but you talked about this previously, Raafaa. It's so hard as one of these enchanters to make this play happen, and Burdol could be the target.
They know that the hop is gone. No way! Burdol recognizes that he is in the blast cone range and doesn't even worry about burning the flash.
That's my Burdol. We have been worried about whether or not this guy was going to bring Burdol or Burdin back to LGD. We've seen a little bit of both throughout this series, but he's able to survive, and those are the plays that need to be made for OMG. They have to get gold somewhere on the map. It's 5k down. 2 minutes on this dragon spawn. That is soul. It's Chem's soul for LGD. Heng could be the target here. It's going to be so hard to kill him, though.
Decent chunk, though, from Rio and Haichao. Brings him below 50% HP, but he does not pop the maximum dosage. Protoplasm completed as the second item, which kind of functions as a mini maximum dosage, since it will give you that nice, quick lifeline shield once he drops below a certain health percentage and threshold. So this Mundo is already, we already said it was online, but now he's starting to reach levels of unkillable, and OMG are just hoping that this Haichao Azir is gonna be enough.
He's not just online. I mean, he's hacked into the mainframe. He is the World Wide Web right now with how strong that he is. I mean, like the worst case scenario, the thing that everyone on Reddit complains about, they'll see a Dr. Mundo game like this and they'll go, the champion's unbeatable, because you let him scale into this late game. You gave him a 1.5k gold lead and now he's unable to be killed. It's just really, really tough. You know, you put so much attention into Starry in the early game, and really not through his fault. He just got taken out with a dive, and from that point onwards, you just needed to see some proactivity. Again, you're absolutely right. Haichao was the way back into this game. And we can't stress how important Haichao has not only been for the team throughout this year, but in this series as well. He's been a critical piece for OMG. He was excellent in game number 1 on the Zoe in terms of getting them their lead. There is a player on the team right now that I want to see get back into this game. It's Haichao, and quite frankly, they needed him now more than ever. The long-time LGD mid laner is going to have to try and fight back against his former org.
Haichao took a bit of a journey after his time on LGD. Eventually made his way to OMG, and in that game 1 he was a hero, but the tasks is very, very demanding in this situation. And for Shaoye, who was able to handle such a threatening early game, dodged out on scenarios where Heng was not able to provide cover for him, never gave a window for OMG to punish. He is now rewarded so far with a 3-0-1 start, and it is soul point for LGD.
Yeah, Dragon has been started up. Whoa. Here we go.
Flash forward, goes deep onto Shaoye, forcing the flash out. Everyone is going forward. They have to all in for this Corki, but
Starry's
Starry
dead.
gets blocked by Heng. Haichao flashes for the Emperor's Divide. Can they find Shaoye? No! Tangyuan swoops in and ends any last hope that OMG had. LGD will pick up the Dragon Soul. Shaoye still lives, and this series is looking wrapped up.
That is your dagger, Raafaa. That is Chem's soul. That's going to be Baron as well here for LGD, as the full health topside for them ends up marching up to the purple worm. They're going to take that down as well as we get our replay here of the game-deciding fight, most likely. What have we been seeing all game? Rio diving in over and over again, trying to create, but the team is a little bit behind. They try their best to go forward with him, but Starry doesn't have the damage at this point. Haichao doesn't have the gold to really be able to finish this fight. And Tangyuan, the player that we've been waiting to see step up, makes his presence known. Rio's here. He's trying to steal. He's blocked.
Burdol will say no and ensure that there's not going to be a 50-50 flip on this Baron. And what breaks my heart for OMG even more is that kind of play that Rio finds, where Starry and Haichao both all in and commit, that is the play that should have happened 10-15 minutes ago. Where
absolutely
You have to recognize that, like, it can't just be Rio on a solo mission diving onto Corki who can still, like, get out of the Cataclysm, and it's
I mean, you're right. It gets to a point where you wonder when. Looks like it's now on Heng. Still got the ult.
Heng is gonna shrug it off. He didn't even pop the ult. That was the protoplasm. He's about to get maximum dosage up off cooldown. Haichao steps up once again. Desperation reeking through all of OMG's hands as they try and try again and fail after fail. Rio comes in just to force a cataclysm onto Shaoye once again. Starry behind Hery maybe can try and pump some damage here. But LGD continue to reign supreme on Summoner's Rift. Shaoye completely untouched and still alive, deathless on this Corki, and OMG just watching this series slip away.
Unbelievable re-engage. Oh, Rio's dead. Oh, there he goes. I mean, it's a sight that unfortunately he's become very familiar with in this game. Shaoye continuing to push forward.
Oh, a great bubble from YCX allows Shaoye to continue surviving. Even another attempt from Hery. Shaoye is just immortal. No one on OMG has a chance to shut down this Corki after every single attempt they throw his way.
He took that Game 2 MVP vote personally. He brought that close to the chest. He's not making it a question here in game number 3 as LGD start to siege down the base. Haichao, Moham, they're trying their best to hold out, but the inhibitors are going down and the Nexus might be here to follow.
In Split 1, OMG had LGD's number. But in this series, LGD are showing that the offseason treated them well. They bounced back after a Game 1 loss. And while they haven't ended the game just yet, OMG have to do the impossible and overcome now nearly a 12,000 gold deficit and a Chemtech soul.
Impossible is a great word, Raafaa, because that's what it feels like when you're staring down the barrel of this shotgun pointed at your face with LGD. I guess it's the barrel of a man in a very, very small plane that is staring down the barrel right now, firing his rockets. LGD, I mean, again, we talk about a team. They did not make plans. This was not a team that was dominating, even Group Nirvana in the previous split. This wasn't a Group Perseverance team that came down. This is a team that missed play-ins, that rebuilt, that got their confidence back, and they've come out here with an absolute bang in terms of the way they've played this game. They've understood exactly who they are. They've played towards their comfort level. They've got an 11K gold lead in this one because of it against a team that was one series away from Group Ascend.
For LGD, the way that they have been able to shake off the very, very dominant win that OMG started this series off with just a couple hours ago is quite remarkable. Being able to show that, like, hey, you know what? Maybe it was a draft gap, maybe it was a nerves gap, but they've made great corrections and understood a lot of their strengths and being able to play through Shaoye efficiently for the rest of this series. And for OMG, we know that it's only the first series for both of these teams in this regular season, but it's only 5 series they get to play. Reminder, bottom 2 teams of this Group Nirvana get relegated from LPL for the rest of the year. And OMG do not want to have to live through that again after experiencing it for the first time in 2025.
I mean, you gotta believe there's a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. Again, Rio came in as the savior in the winter split, but already he's being put to such a test. We asked the question, is he going to be able to repeat that performance? He played 5 games in the regular season. Played almost just as many games in the play-in stage as he did in Group Nirvana. Really, I mean, the sample size was incredibly low, and right now, I mean, the question is there. These engages from the Jarvan have been disconnected. They've been too deep. They've not really found the mark that they're looking for. And you need to see him continue to step up. This game is going to be very difficult. The survivability of the champion isn't there, but we have to see that leadership start to kick in for a team that basically needs survival here in 2026.
Yeah. LGD have nearly everything they need to close out this series in a dub. Elder Dragon is spawning in 17 seconds. That is the last Hail Mary that OMG could find to turn everything against LGD. But with all the control that they have through the bottom side of the map, Tangyuan pressuring on the bottom lane, LGD should be able to navigate this with less pressure on their side and more on OMG's.
Yeah, I mean, it's a free Elder right now. Like, you have to make this play happen.
Race.
They are going to base race. They're looking for the end.
Someone's trying to answer back. It's Hery to try and absorb the wave and stop them from committing to Nexus Towers. But Heng, can he be a hero and secure the Elder Dragon for LGD?
My fight.
Heng gets the smite fight! And OMG's last hope goes down in flames! Hery will burn to a crisp, and LGD rises from the ashes of Game 1 in triumph! LGD will answer back with a 2-1 victory over OMG.
LGD Gaming, they get it done. They right their sins from split number 1 and take down the team that haunted them at the beginning of the year. They couldn't take this series in winter. They could not beat this team, and here they are with a stronger version of OMG, a roster that we unanimously considered to be better, and they are besting them 2-1 in a series that could determine so much for this group going forward.
So incredibly massive for LGD to bounce back after what you and I both thought was a sign of things to come for OMG for the rest of the series. We thought that, wow, Haichao styling on LGD with a champion that effectively was his first stage game in LPL, because as we all know, he's only played Zoe one other time, and that was in Season 11 in Demacia Cup on a team no one has ever heard of. And I don't think it's really ever existed. I went back, by the way, guys, that team was qualified in through something called Academy Camp. I have no idea what that means, but there's no Leaguepedia history on that team. And just know that Leaguepedia has information on teams that were in amateur as long as they had games. There's no
Raafaa.
Leaguepedia bio on LYA. I know.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I look like the biggest clown right now. And
I still had him ahead of LGD. I still had them winning this series. We both look like clowns right now. LGD being bottom half for both of us. I don't know about that one, Raafaa. This might be a team that is a lot better than we thought they were.
Yeah. But also okay. Shaoye stepped up big and was an incredibly clutch carry, but I think also LGD played insanely well around Shaoye to make sure that he was set up for success. And I think the biggest thing that I was banking on when I put OMG at the top of my group Nirvana rankings was Rio continuing to find success. And unfortunately, after game 1, it just looked like he was super uncomfortable and unsure of what he wanted to do.
I think he just had a bad read. Like, I honestly don't really know what to say. You just drafted Jarvan, Lucian, Milio into Dr. Mundo, into Akali, and the strategy, the game plan was, we're going to lose all of the dragons, and we're going to give grubs for free so that we can play vertical on our Lucian bot side, because if we get Lucian fed enough, he'll kill the Mundo. Like, I just feel like it's such a flawed game plan at a foundational level, and it really ended up being a problem. I still like OMG's draft if you're fighting at grubs, if you're fighting at dragon, if you're forcing this Dr. Mundo to make decisions in the early game, but there were no decisions. He got everything for free, he scaled into the end game, and boy, did he benefit for it.
Yeah, I almost feel like Rio almost lost confidence after game 2. Because when you are Jarvan, you should feel empowered to make early game plays. And yeah, it's hard to lock down Shaoye just by yourself. The bot lane dive wasn't really a dive. It was just a, hey, back off the turret for now. That's it. But if you're going to be playing around your Lucian, you should be feeling empowered to also get dragon stacking on your side. How is it that OMG don't fight the right timers to then be able to get those dragon stacking timers for themselves, right? And I would have to go back through the entire game and just watch it over again to see what the decisions were. But I know that one of the things that happened that maybe was just not corresponding well with what OMG's plan should have been was the decisions of Rio's invades then costing return windows by Heng to then get something better on the map. Like the Krug invade, for example, he gets the Krugs, but now he doesn't have Smite. He's chunked.
Yeah.
He's forced off Gromp, and then that gives Heng the ability to get the first dragon of the game, right?
Right. And even when you're equalizing it out in your head, you're going like, okay, I'm trading and I'm getting something here. Why are you trading neutral with the Dr. Mundo? Like, that's losing. Like, that has to be the math in your head. You have to change the way that you think when you allow something like this on the other side. It felt like OMG had a strategy and they realized, hey, in this situation, it's good for Jarvan to trade. It's good for Lucian to get this lead. In isolation, those things are correct, but I feel like reading the game and reading the game state you were in, especially after the dive on the bottom side, something has to be done elsewhere, and it just felt like they were constantly second to these plays. And that's where I want to give LGD a lot of credit, and specifically Heng a lot of credit in this game, because you're not expecting this Dr. Mundo to completely shut down this Lucian, but what does he do? He goes bot lane, dives, gets that lead back onto his AD carry, and that Corki takes over from that point in the game. It's really well played from LGD, and you can say that OMG made mistakes and didn't do the things that they needed to do. LGD still have to go out there and capitalize on it with their decision making, and I think they did that here today.
Yeah. The experience on LGD's side pays off in dividends, and Heng being able to navigate two scenarios where Rio had some early game agency and being able to try and find windows back into the game, not just in game 2 but also game 3, recognizing his win conditions and just ensuring that Shaoye was being set up for success. I think Shaoye was able to display his mechanical prowess a little bit more in this game 3. Not sure if that means if he's going to get a player of the game for game 3.
You got robbed in game 2. He's got to get it for game 3, right? Like, one of these has to go to Shaoye. Like, at some point, you have to start voting for this guy, because it's all well and good to get that lead. He's valking forward. He's fighting 2v or like 3v1 in the base at the end of the game. Like, you can give an AD carry a lead. They still have to go out there and make the use of it, and I think he did that.
Only time will tell, Kman. But
yeah,
the implications this has on Group Nirvana and standings now. LGD are 1-0 in series with 4 series left. So they already have a nice window buffer to prevent them from being likely candidates to be relegated from LPL for the rest of the year. OMG 0-1, completely flip side of the coin there, as looks like we're getting a stage interview with Heng. So we're not going to know who the player of the game is during our time, but Kman, always a blast to be casting with you, and
always
super excited that we got a chance to see the continued rivalry with OMG and LGD evolve, this time in triumph for LGD here in Split 2.
Yeah, no, I mean, we really got to see the back and forth. All I can say, Raafaa, it's inevitable. LGD 11th place, you can't stop it. It's a train that's barreling through. There's nothing you can do. This team will be there. They won't be bottom 2, and I think they proved that here today.
Well, if they can beat OMG, we'll see how LGD will fare against the rest of their opponents in Group Nirvana, and same for OMG. Is this going to be a sign of OMG's inevitable departure from LPL for the rest of 2026? Or can they bounce back? Can they take this series in lesson, look forward, and only play better from here on out? Only time will tell the next time we see both of these teams on Summoner's Rift. And for now, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it won't be us and Kman, because we'll be swapping out with our friends Slayer and Quacks for our final series between BLG and Weibo Gaming.